Well, greetings, everybody, from Sprott Money at sprottmoney.com. We have reached the end of 2025. What the heck? Where did this time go? It is December the 18th. I mean, we've only got 7 or 8 trading days left in the year. So let's wrap it up. And who better to wrap it up with than the Sprott behind Sprott Money, Eric Sprott himself, my old friend. Good to see you, Eric.
Great to be here. And as you're saying, 25 was a great year. I'd like it just to keep going, okay?
Yeah.
Imagine if we could do 25 and 26. Whoa, baby.
Well,
we already got the best group in the world. Imagine if you could keep that running for a while.
You're leading me right into my very first question. But before we get there, we got to let everybody know about Sprott Money, right? There's still time we still got a week to Christmas. And as I keep reminding everybody, give the gift that keeps on giving the whole year, Clark. Nobody needs another iPhone or a toy. Buy your friends, your kids, your grandkids some physical silver and gold too. Sound money. Start teaching them early. Go to sprottmoney.com. The holiday gift guide's right there. Access it through the homepage. So sprottmoney.com for all your holiday shopping needs. All right, brother, here's where I want to start with you. Here's where we're going to start with you. As we left last year, we were doing a wrap-up call last December, probably about the same day.
Yeah.
We'd had a great year. Gold was up like 27%. And as I'm writing my annual forecast, which I usually do right around New Year's Eve, I'm thinking, well, in the past, gold goes up 25%. There's 3 or 4 years like that this century. The next year has been down or maybe up, just 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
Eric, we're up 65%.
Yeah.
So, what the heck are powers kind of front running gains? Are we taking some gains from next year and plowing them into this year? Is it a culmination of all the stuff you and I have talked about for a decade? What do you think here at the end of 2025?
Well, I think your last comment's the most appropriate comment. When I think of gold and silver, I think that when gold in 2024 broke through 2000 for the third or fourth time, I forget which it was, I think they lost control of the gold market. And when I say they, I'm referring to the banks that were forever short. You get the data every week, big short position. Who owns it? Well, it's mostly the commercials, which are the banks. And they're always, the only shorter there was the banks. Imagine if the banks weren't short. Where the hell would the price of gold be? And then I think they finally realized, okay, look, we can't hold this thing back. So that next thing you know, gold goes from 2,000 to 4,000. Now, I think the same thing happened in silver. I don't know what the magic number was, whether it was 35 or 40 or some number like that. And of course, they've lost control of it. And I think everybody knows they've lost control of it. When you watch the day-to-day data of silver, you know that they can't possibly supply the demand. But we've known that for 5 years, but because they had inventories to work with, they were able to supply, and of course with the paper supply that they had, they were able to meet that physical demand through the inventories and were able to meet the demand in the COMEX through paper shorting. And I think now they realize, okay, well, that's game's over because now we can't supply the physical anymore. We know that. You look at the stress points that we've had at the LBMA and the COMEX and the demand, like some of the demand statistics that we can look at during the year, the latest one being in October when India about 55 million ounces of silver in a month, 55. Right. I always annualize these things. That's 660 million ounces. If you did it every month, we only mine 800. How can a country buy 55? You'd think it was literally impossible. And we have the same sort of thing going on in the COMEX where maybe this month we'll do between 50 and 60 million ounces of deliveries in a month. Well, now I know it doesn't happen every month, but geez, if it was for 12 months, it would essentially take all the mine supply, give or take 10%. So you see these huge demands. And of course, we also have retail people buying it in large quantities too. There's a tech guy, David, someone, I forget his Blackwood.
Bateman.
Bateman, that's it.
Yeah.
And he's buying millions of ounces of silver. And, guys like you and I might buy a lot too and recommend a lot of people buy it. And, we haven't left we're still there to participate and recommend it to people. And of course, we have that audience now. And we have a new audience where when the gentleman at Morgan Stanley suggested the new model portfolio 60-20-20, with 20 being precious metals.
Right.
Whoa, my God.
Right.
Blow the lid off. I mean, that just blows the lid off. Can you imagine if they really wanted to go to 20, where the prices of gold and silver would have to be? We wouldn't even recognize the number, you know?
Right.
Like it could be like $1,000 for silver to get to 20% silver.
Yeah.
And who knows what for gold. I don't
Right.
know what the number would be, but it'd be multiples of 10,000 for sure. And then you have other people's, just imagine trying to get from 1% to 2%. We only produce 1% more gold in a year. Okay. So fine. You go from 1 to 101. How do you go from 1 to 2? The price has to change. The
Right.
price of the underlying thing,
Period.
the price of the commodity, the price of the shares. That's the only way that can go up. And then we're going to have in 26 sort of a crowding out thing that I'm sure happening now. I saw my first reporting on it recently when someone was talking about the strength of the Canadian dollar. Why is the Canadian dollar strong? It's because of gold and silver. Because if you want to buy gold and silver stocks, where do you go, my friend?
Where do you go? That's true.
Where do you go? Where does the world go? And if the world's buying gold and silver stocks and the weighting of the stocks keep going up in the indices and you're a Canadian institution, how do you keep your weighting up when the shares are going offshore all the time? You can't. It's what I call the Nortel effect, where Nortel got to 30% of the index because everyone in the world was buying Nortel. And a Canadian institution, they couldn't, we can't own 30% if the world owns 30%. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to have that effect here where everyone buying these stocks, a lot of them have to come to Canada to buy them. And it strengthens the dollar remarkably. And of course, it gives a floor to the valuations of the stock. And then, of course, it's going to give a lift to the valuation of the stocks if, in fact, the institutional clients get on board. And you sort of sense that it's happening. We see it in the underwritings that take place. Who's buying them? Why are they buying them? How big are they buying them? And believe me, they're buying them way bigger than they were a year ago. They wouldn't even be buying them a year ago. Now some guy comes in and wants 50 million of this issue, right? Out of nowhere. One institution.
Right.
So it's happening.
There's just so much cash. I've referenced lots of times this year about the 5 biggest U.S. stocks are 20 trillion in market cap.
Crazy.
The GDX ETF is 20 billion.
Yeah.
Well, what's that? A tenth of a basis point?
Yeah,
so personally, so that people know, we're going to try to get to some of the questions that were solicited on Twitter and on YouTube. And then one of them was kind of an allocation question. Going forward, here we are at the end of the year. I've always been overweighted in gold as a net worth financial hedge against the madness thing. But silver's gone up so much this year. I'm even mine now probably 50-50. What's your allocation as we head to next year?
Well, I would have said, like if it was last year, I probably would have said I'm 40-60 silver gold. And I don't even look at it that way, like I haven't done the calculation, but I know I got to be 50-50, and maybe I'm even going 60-40 here, 60% silver, 40% gold.
Yeah.
And in the market of shares, recently I have very, very much focused on buying silver shares to the detriment of gold. And I find it so ironic that a broker would phone me up with a great gold idea, and I said, I can't buy that. Well, why not? It's gold. And then, what? You're not buying it because it's gold? And I said that. I said, I want to buy silver, which is the whole story.
Eric Sprott on the phone.
Which is the whole story we'll have to talk about, okay? Because that is the story. So and now in my portfolio, I'm really leaning in on silver stocks, and I hope my silver stocks go through more than 50-50. They're very tough to buy, right? There's only like 13 major silver mining stocks, and most of the silver mining stocks aren't even primarily silver miners.
Right. So you've talked about that for as long as I've known you.
Yeah, which again tell you the problem with silver, the physical supply of silver. Just because the silver price goes up doesn't mean a copper miner is going to increase his copper production. Or lead zinc guy is going to increase his lead zinc production, which then causes silver production to go up. So we have a hell of a fine macro setup here for silver to explode. And I may as well go there now. I've always been a great proponent and believer in Michael Oliver's work, who does this momentum structural analysis. You've interviewed him, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great guy.
And that guy's been as right as rain. And we might be supporting each other because, he says, oh, that guy, Eric Sprott, he really likes silver. It's going for $200. And I said, well, I really like that guy, Michael Oliver, because we're probably reading from the same notebook, right?
Just going around in circles.
But I go at it from the point of view that I've always believed that silver was manipulated big time for 50 years, okay? And I don't need to justify, 10 or 12 major banks have been short the whole market for that whole time.
Yeah.
Why are those banks short the silver market? Okay. Yeah. Is there a reason for that?
They're hedging.
No, they're not hedging. We know that. Nobody hedges anymore. There was an excuse 20 years ago. So I can believe that it's gold, silver should go back to 15. Okay. It's only mined at 8-1.
Right.
It's in the Earth's crust at like 10 or 11-1. Why in the hell should it have traded at 100-1? And it's already down at what, 67, 68-1? I think it's going right to 15, 1 to 15. Okay. So let's say if the gold price is 4,500, which is near, makes the calculation easy. Silver should be at $300. That's where it should be. That's without a physical shortage. Okay. Now we throw the physical shortage on top and the shortage of silver stocks to buy. I mean, the runway is so wide open that, I can see nothing but clear sailing for silver. It might have times when it gets beat up. And I always find it hilarious watching silver trade on the COMEX. And, they have these 10-minute bursts to the downside.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And a half an hour later, it's right back up there.
Mm-hmm.
What is that guy trying to do? Is he setting off stops or something? Or I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they never win that thing anymore when they're banging it down. They don't win those things. They lose every damn battle. I don't know how it works out for them. Maybe they are setting off stops and they're buying, getting guys to stop out on their longs, but it never seems to hold together. I mean, if you did that for a living you're in the investment business, I don't think you'd be in the investment business very long.
Right. Well, I wanted to ask you about that because you mentioned gold breaking out to new all-time highs back in March of 2024, and it has since doubled, right?
Yeah.
Silver broke out to new all-time highs back in October, and it's kept going up. The question back then was, well, it's just the same, just like 1980 and just like 2011, it goes to 48, and then it's going to go straight back down. The fact that it didn't go straight back down, Eric, got to be telling you something.
Yeah. There's no analogy there, right? We have done so differently this time. And of course, any student of silver realizes what's happening here when you see the nomination for deliveries almost every day on the COMEX, physical delivery, new. Like I think yesterday overnight, there's probably something like 70,000 new ounces demanded. That's $200 million, 200 million in a day. Some guy comes in and buys 200 million of physical silver on the COMEX. I don't know what happened in the LBMA because you never seem to know what's going on over there. And then of course we got the Shanghai exchange, and of course silver went up 5% 2 days ago, went up 1% overnight tonight. It's been a very important market. We took their inventories from like a million kilograms down to 500,000 kilograms. It's inched back up here to, I don't know whether the number is 700,000 or 800,000, but I noticed it went down yesterday. But, the Chinese, and this is a point, have said that as of Jan 1st, we're not exporting any silver.
Right.
Unless you get a permit. And they were big exporters, okay?
Right.
So that could be 50 or 100 million ounces. It's not coming out of the market.
I've got to jump in and segue in another question here, because that was another one that we got. How much do you think Shanghai, is now the price maker versus, where it always had been the paper markets of London and New York? Is now China the overnight trade that starts
Yeah.
Currently at what, 8 o'clock Eastern every night.
Yeah.
Is that the market? And then London, New York is just reacting to that now.
Well, there's no doubt that, as you know, both London and New York, until a few years ago, hardly ever had a delivery. What's a delivery? They never delivered anything.
No.
Okay. COMEX and the LBMA didn't have deliveries.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Shanghai's always been, it's a delivery market. And of course, they're the largest provider of silver, and they're the largest consumer of silver, although the Indians are giving them a run for their money, okay? So, yeah, no, that's going to be the nexus of where things will be determined in the future, for sure. And they're the biggest users of silver. You know, when it comes to like solid state batteries, it's all Chinese dominated. I know your president's trying to get some plants built over here. We'll see whether that works or not. But I mean, they have the facilities already. So they are going to determine the price. Asia will determine the price for sure.
Seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we go into next year, again, how much, as I phrased it earlier, how much of next year's gains are being pulled forward to kind of front run into this year? I mean, I see a macro picture, Eric. You know, all these signs have been laid out all year long from the U.S. government about whether they're going to monetize the asset side of the balance sheet, right? Or Trump's going to put a yes man in at the Fed that just does whatever he wants and cuts rates down to 1%. And Besson's talking about melding the operations of Fed and Treasury together so they work hand in glove to keep long rates down. Now that's yield curve control.
Yeah.
It seems like fundamentally there's a lot going for us. Another question is, though, what's a risk to price at this point? Is it a stock market crash? Or, I mean, what risks are there?
Well, I think that would be a big risk. Although when I listen to Michael Oliver, who's a student of markets, okay, he's more of a student of markets than I am. And he points out that in a number of those markets where it went down, it went right back up again. Some that hardly even went down, but it always went right back up again. And we've had a time, we had a lull in the mining stocks here. I think it was in October, came right back up again, right? So I think that, I think that the fact that people realize you got to shift from paper to physical, that will provide a real buttress for the gold and silver if the market starts fading. So even yesterday when the market got beat up pretty good, gold and silver did okay. I think silver was way down and came up and gold went up. Today we've got the markets doing very well. And of course, now gold's starting to run here. Silver, which was down, is almost back to break even. So I think that people will see through this and hold in there because, you know, if they're trying to go from 1% to 2%, that's a lot of buying.
Right.
I like to think that maybe I already own 0.1 of 1%. I don't, by the way.
They're going to come for yours.
And you ain't getting it.
Like the old Charlton Heston line about they're going to take my gun out of my cold dead hands. Eric's
but, you know, the people that own gold and silver stocks aren't sellers, okay?
Right. Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah. Well, and again, gosh, Eric, that point, that was one of the days that gold shot higher with that Morgan Stanley idea that the new allocation shouldn't be 60-40, like 60% equities, 40% fixed income. It should be 60-20-20 with 20% in the precious metals. How much, just elaborate as to how much investable assets that is, if that happens.
Crazy. I don't even know how much investable assets are there in probably hundreds of trillions or something, right?
Right.
So you're probably, I'd say, well, okay, that's 40 trillion that has to go into hard assets. It's not just gold, not just silver, by the way, but that's a lot of money to go in something that probably has a market cap of 2 trillion today. I don't even know what the market cap is, but I know it's way the hell below the number it could be.
Right.
Yeah. So,
all right. So it sets us up, like you said, for what should be a pretty interesting 2026.
Yeah. I want to comment on, you know, you asked about going from 25 to 26 and we had these big gains. And Eric's thinking today is we've had big gains, but the stocks are way behind the prices in my mind. I mean, I think we got 30% upside here with the prices doing nothing. Just report the earnings. Like we've had these prices go up and the stocks haven't followed.
Right.
They haven't done as much as because it's not the percentage. Like should never expect that gold goes up 25% and the stocks go up 25%. No, If the gold goes up 25, stocks would probably go up, 2 to 5 times that amount, i.e. 50 to 125%. We're not getting that. The last move in silver, we haven't even got it in the stocks yet.
Well, let me ask you three things that you and I have discussed. I mean, we've been doing these, since like 16 or 17. And there's a couple of points that you always used to make. One, I mean, is his sector getting enough attention yet that you don't get these rushes in before earnings and then everybody says, well, that's it for now. I'm going to sell and we'll wait and see if these prices hold, because that seems to still be the case. Are we still getting the naked predatory short selling? Are we at a point yet where that has begun to dry up? Because that would certainly impact things as well. And frankly, I've now forgot what the third thing is, so I'm going to have to try to remember.
I think there's still short selling and naked short selling going on in the junior miners, because it's easy to do. And how do I know that? I own lots of junior miners. I look and see what the stocks do at the close, and they get forever. Some guy comes in and knocks it down in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why always at the close? Okay. And I'm sure it's predatory selling. And particularly when you see something going down quickly, which we see a lot in the commodity trading, right? There's not a time when gold goes down slowly. When it goes down fast. Silver goes down fast. Now they'll move it down $2 in a day. The first $2 move on silver, I saw, was to the downside, not the upside. So we had lots of those.
Is there a point where there's so much attention on the sector, though, and people stay invested, that game of, hey, let's short the heck out of this $1 stock, and then they're going to have to go to market and announce a private placement, and then they're going to have to dilute. I mean, they're just pounding these things into nothing.
Oh, yeah. No, it happens all the time.
Where they have to give up?
I can tell you and our listeners, when I make an investment in a company that's doing an issue, I say to the banker, I don't want any hedge funds in this issue. I don't want this going to some guy who's just trying to cream something off of this stock, who doesn't give a damn about anything else. Okay?
Right.
I want it clean. I want to know who the other buyers are. Tell me it's me and 2 or 3 other guys. We'll all pony up the money and nobody else. We don't want the free riders in there. Okay. The guys are going to immediately sell the stock and keep the warrant. And then we got to eat the stock too, right?
Right.
And to the managements piss me off. Okay. There's so many managements that will sell a stock. They sell it 10% below the market. They lose as much market cap as the money they raised. In other words, the stock just went down 50 million and you raised 40 million.
Right.
Well, thank you very much.
Right.
Who wins in that? And you want me to buy it. I already own it. I'm already losing 10% on it. And you want me to be the buyer. It's a killer. The management's got to get tough here.
Right.
These guys want your shares. Buckle up, boys.
Is that happening? Are we getting closer to that?
We're getting closer to it. Yeah. I did one recently where I think we did it right at the market. It was just me and another guy, me and one other institution. Okay. And we paid market price. Now, why are we buying at a market price? Because we like it.
Right.
We want to own it.
We just want the shares.
We don't want to trade it.
Right. Right.
We're not there to skim something.
Right. Yeah. Right. All right. I remembered the third question.
Yeah.
Another thing you've taught me over the years. Personally, I've had great gains the last 2 years on high margin companies, that were the all-in sustaining costs are down like a 900 or 1,000, like Lundin and some of these others. But you've always said, okay, but when the price is really cooking, the high margin ones do make even. Can you just explain that again for people so they understand?
Well, let's take a gold producer, okay? You got one gold producer, let's say is ASIC is 1,000 and the price of gold's 3,000. He's making 2. But the other guy's cost is 2,500. He's only making $500. Well, give him an extra 1,500. His profit just went from 500 to 2,000, quadrupled. The other guys went from 2,000 to 3,500, went up by 75%. Well, what do you want to make on your money? A quadruple or 75%?
Right.
I think I'll take the quadruple.
Yeah.
So maybe that takes me early to a stock that I'm buying now, and I will go there. Okay.
Let's go. We got to get into that anyway.
Like I'm buying Highcroft big time here. I I own 40% of the company now. It's a company with a property in Nevada, which we like Nevada. It's gold and silver. Their equivalency is 1.5 billion ounces of silver. I think on an equivalency basis, they might have more silver than any silver company. They're not mining it yet, okay? They're not mining it. But I'll guarantee you, with the price of silver at 60 on its way to 100 or 200, which Michael Oliver's suggesting might get there in the next few quarters. I'm emphasizing the word might get there next few quarters. That's not far from here, okay, guys?
Right.
That Hycroft's going back into production, okay? Or someone's going to try to take him out for sure. I might be standing at the gate holding it closed, but that's.
Well, let's do it. I just want to go back and do the math. You own 40% of the company and they have how much potential silver in the ground?
Well, they already have a 1.5 billion equivalent ounces of silver reserve. 1.5 billion. Okay. No, let me go there. Here we go. Okay. So at $200, they'll only have 300 billion of metal value. They'll only have 300 billion of metal value. And the market cap's 1 billion of metal value. One. Now, if it goes to 200, what would their profit be?
Goodness.
Would you give them $200? Give them they got to let's say make 150. That's 75% of 300. It'd make, what's that? 2.25 billion. It's 225 billion. They'd make 225. Oh, I got to tax it. They'd make 150 billion. They'll earn 150 billion. And the market cap's 1. Well, what's the upside here, guys? Well, let me think. Would that be like 150 times, maybe? From here?
Safe to say you like this one.
Hey, in quarters.
Sounds like I can sense you're enthusiastic about that one, Eric.
There's a bunch of great silver deposits, by the way. So, for example, Discovery has Cordero.
Right.
That's
Hold on. Let me back. I got to stop you there.
Yeah,
jump in because I had somebody ask me. See, ask Eric if he's worried about Discovery and Cordero and how long it's taking to permit or whatever.
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm pretty certain that if I was the Mexican government, I'd want Cordero into production.
You would think.
Think of the money we'll be making.
Yeah.
With the taxes and the royalties and whatever else these governments collect off of these guys. No, and they've given out quite a few permits already. And of course, Cordero is a big, complicated one. It's big, but I'm pretty certain they'll get it. There's a company owns the Metates mine, Chesapeake Gold. That's another huge one. I don't know whether it's 20 or 30 million equivalent ounces of gold, and I probably could do it in silver too, but I just don't have it in my mind. And the stock trades for nothing. Now, there's been some dispute down there about the Mexican government wanted to take back some of the property. And I don't know how that dispute's going to work out. So I can't move into it as much as I am with Hycroft. I like what's going on in Nevada. They already have permits. They've already got the leach pad. They've already got all sorts of infrastructure. They got roads there and buildings there and repair depots and shit like that. So they're when they start up, they'll start up fast.
They might be 6 months. They
just
got to get past you at the gate with the lock. And back on the one that you mentioned that was Chesapeake. You're a little worried about whether they'll get the approvals.
Yeah. Well, no, they have a property dispute. Part of the property that has the ore bodies in dispute right now. And that's something I always feel a little bit confused with, right? You never know what's going to happen to things like that.
Right.
They think they have a strong case of getting the property back. We've seen some weird cases develop. We had one in Emirata over in Spain, I guess it was, where it looked 100% like they'd win the court case, and they lost it. Stock fell 66% in a day. I owned a lot, lost a lot of money that day.
Yeah.
Actually, probably made less. I didn't lose money that day.
Good way to look at it.
I'll just give you a tip. I probably lost 40 million on the stock, but I didn't lose much money that day.
Yeah, right. Put it just one of those on the pile. Back to Discovery. Is Tony McCooch still running that?
Yeah.
Just so people know, again, a little background. If people have been if they've watched you and I for years, I remember you telling me to buy Kirkland Lake when you were the chairman of the board and Tony was running that company and it was like $7 a share.
Yeah.
and then it went to 40 something, and then it got folded into AEM.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I'd have to do the math
Yeah.
as to what kind of profits I have from those discussions back in like 2017.
Yeah.
That's got to be having Tony running Discovery's got to be part of your.
It's very comforting. Very comforting. And of course, the biggest thing he did, and the great thing, which I fully supported at the time, is when he bought the Timmins operations from Newmont.
Yeah.
And he committed one of the great thefts of the century, as it turned out. He did.
Well, Newmont.
And by the way, I hope I'm having one of the great thefts of the century buying Highcroft here.
Well, I would be curious to see.
I just took AMC Theaters out of Highcroft, by the way. They had a block.
Somebody asked if you actually, that was an obscure question in one of the things. Do you ever go to movies?
Who's got time for movies?
Good point.
There's no movie. Okay. There's no movies on gold and silver. Okay.
There's money. When they make one, I've always thought I'd like George Clooney to play me. You got anybody who'd like to play you?
Richard Gere.
Oh, nice. Okay. We'll put that in the casting. Okay. America's Gold and Silver is another one that I think you own. What do you know
that's
there?
been a wonderful, 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 wonderful experience of mine. I bought a piece of the Galena mine from America's Silver because they needed the money. And then Paul Hewitt, who was running Karora, Soul Karora, I did very well by Paul. He did a great job there. And he'd been my advisor on Galena board, just, to keep me updated on what was going on down at the mine. Because I should tell the listeners, I know nothing about mining, okay? Or geology, luckily, okay?
You can do math, though. You're good with math.
Anyway, he came along and said, look at Eric, would you vend in the Galena and I'm going to go in and take over control of running USA Silver or America's Silver. I said, sure, I'll vend it in. And I vended it in for some money for some shares of USA. I own, I think, 20% of USA, just under 20%. And of course, the price of silver has gone bananas. And it was a low, high cost producer, if you will, although they have very high grades at Galena, but they have lower grades down in Mexico. And Paul is a guy who gets things done, and he gets them done efficiently in the mine. I know nothing about mining. He knows everything about mining. He's done mining all his life. So he's done a phenomenal job here. Took over something called the Crescent Mine, which is a silver deposit beside Galena. They'll process the ore at Galena, so it'll be very efficient that way. They don't have to do it their own mill. So I think it's got lots of upside here. And I wouldn't be surprised that there's times in our lives between Paul and I that we might think of other good things that might go into America's Gold and Silver. That would be very positive. Yeah, let me think about that one.
You might have a few suggestions.
Yeah.
All
anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so I like that. I'm a big owner.
A couple others that we've discussed in the past that I know you've held for a long time are Newfound and Free Gold.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about Free Gold first. They just came out with a very interesting announcement 2 days ago, where the arsenic content in their ore was something like 7%, and they're using a new process put out by Dundee Precious Metals, something. And they designed something to get the bad stuff out of the ore, and the content of the bad stuff went from 7% to 0.17%, and it turns it into a glass, so it's inert. It's some new process, and it had the effect of increasing the concentrate grade at Free Gold Ventures by 47%. That's a significant increase in concentrate. And now you got less tons needing to ship to get it treated. And in fact, one thing it might do is it might let anyone not related to Kinross. Kinross has the Fort Knox operation that's 5 miles away, who should own this, by the way, but they've been hesitant to buy it. But now anyone in the world can buy it because we can reduce the weight of the concentrate and make the concentrate more economic. So it can be shipped anywhere, China, Japan, wherever this could be, go down the trail in British Columbia. So that's really good. Now I want to talk about Newfound Gold. I think there's a huge opportunity in Newfoundland gold. I own 19.9999%. I'm not allowed to buy another share. They'll put me in jail. Okay. It's a funny thing that happens in Canada, you know. You own 20%, you can't buy more. Oh my God. Oh my God. What a
You got to
country.
buy some politicians up there, Eric.
Just,
You don't know the right people, apparently. But
oh
go on with your
okay.
19.999%.
Yeah. So anyway, they have done some interesting drilling and line and cutting. And the cutting one is where you cut a line on the surface of the ground and take out whatever's there and go assay it, okay, just to confirm what you have. And it's every 7.5 meters. You don't have a choice of where you're putting the cut, okay? You put it every 7.5 meters. In other words, there's no cheating going on here. Anyway, when they do this cutting, the grade Eric's calculation of the grade, just the grade they reported times the meters they reported, and I'm not cutting anything, okay? I multiply the numbers, and the grade at Keats was something like 40 grams per ton. And then in another test of Keats, another time was 40 grams per ton in a different part of Keats. Then they do the iceberg. We don't have the results at iceberg yet, but they'll be undoubtedly awesome. Then they do some drilling up at Dropkick, 11 kilometers away on the same strike, and they come up with, again, high grades. I don't even know what the average grade was. I'm going to say it was probably 25 grams. Then they go back to Keats, and they do what they call grade control drilling, where you have to drill every 5 meters, okay? So there's no picking and choosing where you're putting the drill. That's the first one. Then that came out to, in Eric's calculation, 45 grams. And this is now narrow drilling, okay? Now, when they did the assay, I'm going to say they did the assay like 15 months ago, it shocked me when they said, well, we've assayed the average grade is 2 grams, and we only have 2 million ounces. And how could it be 2 grams? These guys drill holes that are nothing but double digits across the board almost, okay? And when instead of taking a wide thing with nothing in it, you take a narrow thing with just the high grade, the grade's not going to be 2. Eric says the grade's more like 20, okay? And if the grade's more like 20, we don't have 2 million ounces. We got 20 million ounces here.
Yeah.
And that's before new discoveries, which they announce new discoveries all the time. And we got 110 kilometers of this thing on 2 belts that go 110 kilometers. I've believed it before when I first read about it, and we had these very intelligent geoscientists say, well, it's going to be like Timmins. Timmins is 190 million ounces of ore. This could be the same. It's got all the orogenic stuff that they had in Timmins. And these are smart guys. They believe it. And it's now looking more and more like it's really there. So
all right.
I can't buy it. I wish I could.
In our final minutes, one last question. You know, there's so many stocks that are up 2 times, 4 times, 6 times, 10 times this year. You got one that's overlooked where you're like scratching your head going, how come no one's buying this one?
Just a second. I got to send it. Well, there's lots that are overlooked. There's 190 of them in my portfolio.
There's got to be a couple in there.
There's
right?
Erdene Resources, for example, is overlooked.
Yeah.
They're in Mongolia. They're producing now. They got an open pit mine with 4 gram open pit, 4 grams open pit. Most open pits are a gram or less. Okay. Theirs is 4. And I think the 4 is not going to be 4. It'll probably be 6 when they mine it.
Do you own Step too?
Step Gold, also in Mongolia. Yeah. Yes, I own a fair amount of that. Not as much as Erdene. I own so many great stocks that are overlooked. Almost anything. I mean, I own every silver junior there. You could say they're all overlooked because people are still thinking silver's at $25 or 30.
Yeah.
Well, folks, it's double that price. Okay.
Right.
These stocks they'll all be multi-baggers. By the way, I like this Don Durrett guy. Okay. Did you interview Don Durrett?
I've not, but I know who he is.
But Don, I love what Don does because Don says, look, my price for silver is 150. This stock over here, Silver Junior, that's going to go up by 10 times. Hey, he's right. At 150, it's going up by 10 times. Giddy up, go. Quarters, 200. Quarters, 2 quarters, 200.
Is that the best opportunity you think as we round the corner into 26? Is anything related to silver?
Sure, exactly. Yeah. How could you've never seen anything change quite like that? That
Yeah,
has so many investment opportunities. Okay. Yes, we've seen the price of lead go up or the price of nickel go up. There are only four
right,
nickel companies you could buy, right?
right.
We have probably 100 silver companies that could benefit by this, where the grade was too low or the deposit's too small. Well, a 30 million ounce deposit at $200, that's worth 6 billion now. 6 billion.
Yeah,
And their stock's probably trading at 52 million.
right, 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 right.
I own a few of
Um,
them.
well, this sure has been fun.
It
I
has
know
been
you got
fun.
to go, so we're going to call it a day here.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
no, I can't call it a day yet. I haven't mentioned one thing. I got to
well,
mention the solid state batteries. Okay.
oh, well,
And,
okay,
and
well,
I,
let's
I think that this solid state battery is going to be so dynamic for the price of silver. And we haven't even seen 1% of the impact in silver yet.
let's tie that back in then as a final point, because it gets back to what are the risks. And again, yeah, I mean, if we knew for sure silver was going to be 200, I mean, we suspect,
Yeah.
that it's going that way, but
Yeah.
you never know what can happen in the world.
Yeah.
But work that battery in, because that
Yeah. Okay.
news has been bubbling up again,
Okay.
and everything else that from a fundamental, I mean, this isn't just, we're chasing a dot on a screen and counting waves and all this, mumbo
Yeah.
jumbo.
Yeah.
Fundamental reasons why silver is going to keep going.
Yeah. Well, a guy, Samsung, develops a battery that charges in 9 minutes. Can anybody figure out why that's a good thing?
Right.
It goes 900 kilometers. Can anyone figure out why that's a world change? And they use a kilogram of silver in this solid state battery. By the way, they use manganese too, which I'm a big owner of, not the metal, but the companies. And they say if that could capture 20% of the electric vehicle market, it would consume all the silver produced in a year.
My goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And that's just that. That's just that
One
battery.
thing.
That's not
Yeah.
solar
Right.
panels and
No.
electronics.
Is it any wonder that these Asian countries keep buying these
Right.
materials?
Right.
So
Right.
I
And
think that's a big change that's coming. And they're going to be starting to produce these things, I think, for consumption in 28 vehicles. So that's 27 production, which means maybe buying the metal in 26 to make sure you got enough. And, was there a shortage? Yes, there is. Well, you're screwed already. Okay. So you better find a way, Mr. Samsung.
Well, and that's another thing you wait on, right?
Yeah.
At some point, Mr. Samsung say, I think I'll just buy that mine.
Maybe I should buy that Highcroft.
Right. I don't want to jack around with, I
No.
got to have silver. It's one of 1,000 things I got to have to make my product. And I got to have all 1,000. I don't need 999.
Yeah, and I can buy this for cents on the dollar
Right.
today.
Today.
Yeah.
No, again, it's such a compelling story. And and when you mentioned too, the banks that have always set the price by making the market and hedging, Eric,
Right.
if they are suddenly reluctant because they know that the silver just isn't there to keep feeding it in the physical market, and we've got to find sellers of existing silver to meet the buyers.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I always say the banks were the guys only selling. Well, what happens when the banks become the buyers? Who the hell are they going to buy it
Yeah,
from?
then what's left?
To cover their short. Anyway, all
Brother,
looks good, Craig.
I know you're a busy guy. I hope we can do this again soon. I know.
Hey, call me in a couple of quarters for sure.
Those are 3-month periods for those of you at home that don't know how the calendar works. Yes, sir. Well, Merry Christmas. I hope you.
Merry Christmas to you
I hope
and
you
all
and
the
your
people
family-
listening. And all the people listening have an interest in gold and silver already. Just make sure you press it hard. I never did answer the question. I probably own 97% of all my assets in gold and silver. Okay. I sleep well at night. My gold, silver physical position is probably only a small part of that. And I am about 50-50, but I like silver. I'd like silver to be like 70-30 by the end of next year. And I won't have bought or sold any.
Right. I know what my portfolios have done this year. And then I go add a few commas and zeros and I can imagine what yours have done.
Yeah.
And you're still fully invested.
Oh, yeah.
to hammer down. We're not
You
messing
got
around.
her.
Let's
You
do
got
it.
her.
Well, Merry Christmas.
And then
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I
There's
used to
been a
give
lot.
these coins away, don't I? These
Yeah.
Sprott coins. I give a lot of them away, okay?
Do you
And
still?
I remember a guy gave me one way back when. I thought, that's impressive. I'm going to start doing that. And of course, when he was giving away, it was $5. Now it's $60 or $64. So they're worth something now.
Right. I at my TF Metals Report site, I do contests for the. I lost you. You got to move over to the right.
Oh, sorry.
Right. There you are. I do contests every once in a while, where we like predict where the markets are going to end up at the end of the week, and I'd always give away. I have my own silver rounds.
Yeah.
And I would always give away one as a prize. And I went to do one like a week ago and I went, wait a second. This is $60 now. It's not 20.
Yeah. Right.
So, somebody won and I had to ship it off. But yeah, we gotta have a little more, sticky fingers on some of that stuff at this point.
Well, we can always buy more,
Well, and that's for sure.
We know where to find it. Sprott Money. I buy all mine from Sprott Money.
Sprott Money. And, and I know you got to go and we got to wrap this up, but this is a great time to remind people. I tell people, my golf buddies, family, gold's not expensive. It's not the gold that's changing. The gold stays the same. An ounce of gold is just an ounce of gold. What's changing is the purchasing power of your currency.
Right.
It took $1,100 to buy an ounce 10 years ago. It took $2,200 to buy an ounce 5 years ago. It takes $4,400 to buy an ounce. The gold hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And the same is said for silver. Yeah, it's gone up, but when there's only so much silver around and there's this much demand, it's going to keep going. Eric, thank you. Thank everybody for watching. Again, thank Sprott Money for putting this stuff out by visiting their site, buying some sound money as gifts, storing it at Sprott Money. They can help you with that too. It's almost retirement plan season as we flip the calendar. They'll help you with that. SprottMoney.com, your friends in the precious metals business. Our friend in the precious metal up there in the great white north, Santa himself. Eric, thank you so much for your time.
Great. Fun time.
All right.
See you
Thanks
later.
everybody for watching and keep an eye on things. We're going to get back at it as soon as the calendar flips to 2026.